Greetings! Welcome to our viewers. And today on this GIS report, we will be discussing the BVI Business Banking Expo. Thank you for joining us and stay tuned. At this time, I'll now introduce my distinct panel. And directly on my left, we have with us here Deputy Premier and Minister for Financial Services, Labor and Trade, Honorable Lorna G. Smith, OBE. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Sanjay.
And thank you for being here with us. And directly to her left, we have Mrs. Lizette George, who is the representative for the Department of Trade. And we have also with us Mrs. Joy Penn, who is the BVI Bank Association representative. Welcome.
Thank you.
And she's also the CEO of the National Bank of the Virgin Islands. And also joining us is Mr. Kai De Castro, who is the MSME representative. And we'll hear a bit about what this acronym means.
Thank you very much.
So the BVI Business Banking Expo promises to be a very integral part of what the ministry intends to do. And I know that we would like to hear about what are the ideas that really led up and contributed to this initiative.
Thank you for having us. It's a real pleasure to be here. I'll start because just after I got elected and just after I became the Minister for Financial Services, Labor and Trade, I thought it important to really hear what the business community wanted most or needed most. And so I did round the territory, a series of meetings. And among the areas that were considered to be a priority was the whole area of finance and finding finance for developing businesses, growing businesses. And in addition to that, I, of course, would meet with the banks because I, too, recognize the importance in terms of developing business in the territory. I started a series of meetings with banks. And so the whole idea of bringing businesses and banks together was started. And I am delighted that we have gotten to a point where we have a date for the Banking Expo. And I am even more delighted that all of the banks in the territory, all of the commercial banks, have agreed to be a part of this event.
Thank you, Minister. Is there anyone else that would like to add to what were the ideas that would have led to an initiative such as this?
From a trade standpoint and dealing with the National Business Bureau and the business sector, we found that access to finance was one of the major concerns of businesses. And because of that, through this endeavor, we can be able to help businesses to become more educated now in terms of how can they access finance, whether it's through banks or microlending facilities.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And we know that the expo will have like far-reaching positive implications across stakeholders, across sectors, but specific to businesses, what exactly can they expect to hear from banks at the expo?
Well, I am here on behalf of the BVI Bank Association, and I just want to recognize our members, National Bank of the Virgin Islands, Popular, First Bank, CIBC Caribbean, Republic BVI, BP Bank Limited, and Bank of Asia. So we are happy to support the initiative by the ministry, and all the banks will be in attendance. We will showcase our various products and services. And as Ms. George mentioned, it's very important that we recognize the role that businesses play in our small economy. And it's important to maintain open communication channels between the banks and the business community. So we're happy to do that in this forum. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything to add, Mr. De Castro?
Well, I look forward to seeing how the expo is about to go. So that being a family, well, not family, newly open business, I have a strong relationship with my bank, and it'll give a chance to see what the other banks have to offer, the learning experiences, the things that you miss, the things that you can take in, see the people that push and shape that can help you grow your business and can take you to the next level, or if you want to start, can get you off the ground. So it's something that I look forward to seeing.
I am very happy that Mr. De Castro has a strong relationship with his bank.
Yes, I do.
That's really good to know because this is one of the issues. Not everybody has that strong relationship, as he puts it. There are delays, there is miscommunication, and there is often a reluctance to even approach banks.
Right.
And so we are hoping that this, I call it a mini trade show, this event where the banks will really showcase what their offerings are, and the businesses, large and small, in turn, will interface with the banks. I am looking forward to this kind of exchange, and that it would help to strengthen the relationship between banks and our businesses.
Okay, Deputy Premier, I think that this is an appropriate juncture to ask about the relationship between banks and businesses. Mrs. Penn mentioned communication and the importance of having that open communication and dialogue. But in addition to that, how do you think that the expo will lead and contribute to fostering a stronger relationship between banks and businesses?
If I may start, any relationship, if it's successful, relies on mutual understanding. And so this expo will lead to a better understanding on the part of the businesses in terms of what banks offer, what the processes are for accessing loan financing. And businesses, the banks, on the other hand, would understand better what the businesses face in terms of challenges. So I see this as a win-win situation for both the banks and for the businesses. In short, I'm optimistic that there will be more business for the banks and more financing
Opportunities, yes.
opportunities, as you put it, for the businesses.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. And to add, in terms of helping the businesses navigate the banks to be able to understand what products are available to them, because I don't think that many of them are aware of all of the products that are available to them, and this is an opportunity now for the banks to be able to share that and be able to even help them to understand what their responsibilities are as it relates to a client, and help the client to understand what the bank's responsibilities or requirements are.
Yes, and also again on behalf of the BVI Bank Association, we don't compete when it comes to initiatives like this in terms of products and services. We always come together in support of education. So a big part of what we expect to happen at this event is speaking to our business community to show them how they can strengthen their approach as it relates to seeking business relationships with their banks. Several of us, although we have varying products and services, we have the same challenges as it relates to presentations made by business persons, whether it's for financing or other forms of relationships. So education is very important when it comes to these types of forums, and we intend to come together as the association to help educate, not to compete as it relates to our products and services.
Okay, thank you. And I hear Mrs. George agreeing with you, and I could imagine in your capacity as a representative for the Department of Trade that you would hear some of these same ideas coming up?
Yeah, because what the department intends to do is actually the event not only seeks to establish the relationship between the banks and the businesses, but also the National Business Bureau and its partners, because I don't want to preempt the minister to talk about the ecosystem, but
Okay.
but
Go right ahead.
but the minister has actually reached out to all of the business support organizations, including the financial organizations, to create an ecosystem that would seek to help develop the small business sector. And by that, the National Business Bureau will play the role in terms of helping businesses to, well, in terms of education, capacity building, training, and technical assistance, and helping them to even manage some of these loans or finances that we help them to access. So it's a trichotomy.
Yes. And the banks have always played a role with the Department of Trade as it relates to National Business Bureau.
Yes.
National Bank of the Virgin Islands actually administers government-related programs for funding such as that. But all the banks have agreed that when they relaunch their program with new initiatives, we are more than willing to participate in helping to educate the business community, participating in business incubators and other training sessions that they may have scheduled for rollout. So we're happy to do that. Yeah.
I'm pretty excited about the ecosystem
Yes.
that Lizette mentioned, and I want to break it down a little bit because ecosystem sounds big
Lofty,
and
yeah.
important and lofty. Thank you. All it means is that in addition to the banks, in addition to the Trade Department, we also have other business partners. We might have the college, the HLSCC. We would have Unite BVI. We have Forge. Is there anybody else I'm leaving out?
BVI-CCHA.
We have BVI CCHA, which is a very important business partner. So they work with us in terms of providing support through training, whether it's in helping to prepare a business plan, whether it's in marketing and those sorts of areas, to help to develop the business, the particular business.
Thank you, Minister, for that. But going back a bit to what was mentioned about funding, are there any financing institutions other than banks that will be in attendance at the Banking Expo?
Yes. Well, I I hope so. I mentioned Unite BVI,
Yes.
and they do provide support. I can't speak for them in terms of how much, when, and how, but they have traditionally been very generous in providing support for business development. I think Forge has in the past also provided support. In terms of the college, that would be more obviously training and mentorship. The same with the hotel, the Chamber of Commerce. I think theirs would be mainly training and
Technical support.
technical support, mentorship as well.
Yes.
Okay. So it's a holistic banking
Yes.
expo that persons can look forward to.
Yeah. And I wanted to add a bit in that although we are banks, I like that we are stressing the importance of the training and mentorship because we as banks want our small businesses to succeed. I am happy that persons like Kai take the risk in terms of going out there and putting their creative energies behind small business, but we want him to reap the rewards of the risk that he's taking. And a lot of it has to do with strategy. There's so much more that businesses need other than funding to succeed.
No, and I think that's very important to add how the various elements must all coexist and kind of work together in cooperation to ensure that the businesses are indeed successful, especially the micro businesses and the medium.
Micro, small, and medium enterprises. So those are the three sizes of businesses that we would cater to through our business development programs. And what we would do is help micro businesses grow into small businesses. And then from a small business, it grows into a medium business. And then, of course, we graduate them from a medium business to a big business who can probably export their stuff, or who can establish business even outside of the Virgin Islands. So that's how the system works.
Okay, understood.
For me, with the bank, the way I see it as a young business owner, when I walked in, took the risk and decided, you know what, I'm gonna see what the bank has to offer. Where most times instinct, intuition, the safest place is the bank. You need credit, you need all of these things just from following, seeing your elders doing it. When I saw, the structures, it was a bit intimidating. But me being Kai, I pushed the envelope a little bit. I'm like, you know what, let me talk to the manager. And then I realized, Totola is Totola, and you kind of know everybody. And then I start to push and question, what are these fees for? They say, well, this is the bank fees, but then in these fees, in the structures of the bank, it taught me just from asking questions that I have the bank to my disposal. It's my bank. And just even though I'm just starting out, it's teaching me to always ask questions, to be able to learn from the people that are professionals in the industry and let them help you grow. So it's like, as a business owner, you can't be small-minded, you can't be scared, you can't be afraid, and you can't be timid. You have to actually be able to be receptive to what's happening in the world, in the economy. And the bank is one of the forefronts that's going to help you no matter what.
And thank you so much for that, Mr. DeCastro. And at this time, what would you say to inspiring business owners who might have ideas but are not sure how to quite bring them to fruition? What would be your words of advice and encouragement?
Never stop. Just keep being consistent, keep trying. Don't let anyone or anything detour you, because anything worth having is always going to have difficulty. And don't be too high and mighty to ask someone that's made it either, because BVI is filled with a lot of successful men, women, business owners. We can talk to the ministers direct. You understand? So we have a privilege to be able to reach out and grow. So the stumbling process is always going to take time. You could fall down a million times. Once you keep getting up, one day is going to break through, and you're never going to remember the hard days. Just keep going, be consistent.
Those are very inspiring words and of encouragement. And I am sure, Kai, that you have no problem reaching out to, say, relatively bigger businesses with more experience. I know you're in the hospitality sector, and I'm sure you have no problem reaching out.
Yes,
Reaching out
definitely.
to them. Another couple of points you made in terms of banking, the banks, and you talked about having access to the right person, the person who will make a decision at the time that you need the funding. And this is one of the attractive things. This is one of the things that I am excited about in terms of the expo, because we will have the decision makers
At the table, right?
at the table, so people would be able to have discussions with them. And that is very important. So I'm glad you made that point. And of course, this banker will tell you that they're there to make money.
We're there to build relationships. Yes,
And
relationships
to make a
generate.
profit. That's what banks do best. And of course, that's why I'm saying it for us. We hope it will be, we expect it to be a win-win relationship in terms of building relationships that will lead to, more access to financing for our business sector.
Indeed.
And I love what Kai said about asking questions. I would encourage anyone that's in small business or considering going into business to ask questions. And as the banks, we experience some of the same challenges. It doesn't matter which bank it is. So I would also admonish persons that are considering going into small business to look at their record keeping. That is probably the number one challenge that we all have in common. Poor record keeping.
Accountability.
Keep your records and separation of personal business funds, personal and business funds.
Yes.
You can't commingle your personal
Right.
funds with your business funds. You will never know whether you're coming or going as it relates to your business success if you do that. And that's a very common mistake as well. So some
It
of
is a
the
huge mistake.
yes, some of these things, it goes back to communication and opening communication channels and learning from those that have gone before you.
Yeah.
So we'll get a bit more of this insightful information at the Business Banking Expo itself. So persons are encouraged to come and not only come but participate in the activities on the day. I just wanted to touch a bit on some of the potential challenges that might happen, and in the rare occurrence that some of the intended objectives are not met. What do you foresee, happening next?
I expect that the objectives will be met unless there is we've been having a lot of rain
Yeah.
and so on. So unless barring weather, in which case we will have to reschedule, I expect it to be a success in terms of, as we've been talking about it, the communications, in terms of the exchanges, in terms of the learning, because we will be having a number of presentations being made for a couple of hours. This isn't going to go on throughout the day. Maybe Lizette could go through the detail in terms of what the day would be like on the 6th. But I do expect that the objectives will be met.
Yeah, thank you.
So Lizette,
Mrs. George, yes.
So, of course, the opening is at 9, and we will have a series of presentations as well as moderated sessions, and this will go till about 12 noon, and thereafter persons are free because the exhibit will be open until 3 p.m. We do have a closing ceremony in which the minister will facilitate a number of things at that closing ceremony. But I want to particular focus on the moderated sessions because those are key in terms of providing some education to the sector. One of our moderated sessions is financing your business, the before, the during, and the after in terms of what is required or what you should consider before, during, and after you've applied, and even refinancing as well. The second moderated session will be protection of your business finances. And this will include in terms of what are the legal ramifications, what are the commercial laws you have to take into consideration in terms of how you manage your debt. Those are the things that will be touched in that moderated session. And in the last moderated session, we have an opportunity to ask the banks questions. We will field questions beforehand so that the banks can consider most appropriate answers to the questions that you have fielded. And from there, the banks would be able to even provide more insight and education as it relates to engaging the banks more. Because earlier I heard Mr. DeCastro said that he was timid, he was afraid, he was intimidated. And because he is who he is, he was able to go to the right persons. But what if there are persons out there who are not able to go to the right person, and they just sit there with an idea and cannot finance it? So those are the things that we want to be able to bring out through these sessions
Thank you. Honorable Smith, I'm sure our viewers would agree that this discussion has been incredibly rich so far. And as we move towards closing, I would like to, give each of our guests an opportunity to reiterate, highlight, revisit any points, clarify anything, if they so desire. I'll start with you, Honorable Smith.
Oh, thank you for that. I am absolutely thrilled at the prospect on the 6th of June. It's a Thursday. What we didn't talk about is our sister islands. I expect our sister islands to be there in their numbers. Just Van Dyke, Virgin Gorda, and Anegada. We will be, hopefully, Lizette, making provision to make sure that they are there, especially our those furthest away Anegada. We will
And
make sure that Anegada and Just Van Dyke persons are present. Of course, not taking away anything from Tortola, but access from the sister islands is sometimes difficult. So we would like them and extend a special invitation to them to be present and looking forward to the whole of the BVI business sector or our micro, small, medium enterprises to be all present throughout the day on the 6th. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, Honorable Smith. Ms. George, can you also remind us of the location, the venue?
Okay, the event, of course, will be on Thursday, the 6th of June, at the Treasure Isle Hotel. It will be in the restaurant area. The time is from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And of course, I failed to mention that we will also have the regulators making
that's right.
making presentation at the event, as well as trade and BVI CCHA will be present at this event as well. Thank you.
Mrs. Penn?
Yes, on behalf of the BVI Bank Association, we look forward to seeing you on June the 6th. And once again, the important thing is to remember to maintain an open communication line with your banking institution, and we will continue to build relationships and strengthen our economy together. Thank you.
Thank you.
And on behalf of small businesses in BVI, I'd just like to say thank you for having me. And I look forward to going to the Expo with my notepad just to see what all these banks are going to have to offer. It's going to be a competition for me just to see, who has the best rates, learning capabilities, stuff like that. It's a learning thing for me. So I'm going prepared to pick everyone's brain. Big loans, small loans, it's a free for all. So I'm looking forward to the day.
Thank you, Mr. De Castro. And I know you would have given us some very inspiring words before, but at this time, I would like the minister or anyone to reiterate to the business community and any aspiring entrepreneurs to encourage them to come out to the event. What should they expect when they come?
Well, as we have been saying all along, good communications, relaxed environment at the Treasure Isle Hotel, where they would have an opportunity to meet with all of the banks and have a good exchange. So I am encouraging the whole of the British Virgin Islands business sector to come out between 9 and 3 p.m. on Thursday the 6th for our first BVI Banking Expo.
First of its kind. Well, thank you so much. On behalf of our viewers, at this time, I would like to thank each of our guest speakers today. I thought that today was not only insightful, but it was critical, very useful discussion carrying forward. So thank you so much for joining us and looking forward to June 6th.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you so
having
much.
us.
For the Department of Information and Public Relations, I have been your GIS host, Sanjay Greenwich. Thank you for joining us.